XRP 235X multiplier. Folks, this was the morning inflows that we tracked already, but then they actually have doubled as I've been preparing this show for you guys this morning. You are not going to want to miss this update. I would please ask you to share this out far and wide to other people in the XRP community or new people to XRP so that they can understand how easy it's going to be for XRP to fly to new all-time highs and double digits and beyond. Now, we got to get started off here. I want to say, sorry, David. I did include David on his little dragon floaty for our thumbnail for today's video. I just had to. David, I'm sorry. I think it's actually a great picture of him. And I had to do it after David did the picture of him in the army get up. Maybe you guys recall that. I had to use that in the thumbnail a couple times. And for today's video, when David posted this picture, and I'll show you guys it right here, the signal that I took from it was XRP is ready to fly. David was on top of the dragon, getting ready to rock and roll here, right? Current status, this was July 5th, the day after the 4th of July. David on the dragon floaty. I did my own little decode and I said, you know, I think that he's showing us that XRP is chilling right now. We're just floating, treading water, having a good time, but we're on the dragon and we're getting ready to fly. And that's exactly what we're seeing this morning. So my apologies, David, for using this in the thumbnail, but I just had to. It's too good of a picture, David. You're looking great. Okay, let's rock and roll. Let's get right on into it. This is what we're talking about, folks. The market's recovery has been historic, and this is from a macro stock market perspective. The S&P 500 hit a record 55.7 trillion in market cap last week. This means that the S&P 500 has added 11.4 trillion since April's low. Nvidia alone has added 1.6 trillion in value, reaching a record 3.9 trillion. Year over year, the S&P 500's market cap has surged by 6.9 trillion or 14.6%. We just witnessed one of the fastest and largest rebounds in market history. Now, I'm going to showcase this with XRP and real data of the inflows. I don't have the inflows into the S&P 500, but I can unequivocally tell you that we did not see 6.9 trillion flow into the S&P 500. It was a much smaller amount. Now, these market cap multipliers are not as dramatic with the stock market and with assets that are already at 40, 50 trillion in market cap. But when you get an asset like XRP, which is, below a $200 billion market cap, it's very easy to move these things, with just a few hundred million in inflows. And what I'm going to show you here today is that we're not just tracking a couple hundred million in inflows. We have now seen over $1 billion in inflows on just one exchange based out of Korea. I don't know what they know, right? But they are throwing money at XRP. And this is not leverage either. This is in the spot market. This is take my fiat Korean won and give me XRP, please. And give me a lot of it to the tune of $1.5 billion US. So folks, check it out. I wanted to show you this example of the stock market and the rally that it's had. And I wanted to comment here, the big headwind that we had facing us here in July, and what had me a little bit concerned, right? Because we'd made it out of the Middle East conflict. Hopefully, we continue to pray for peace. We had this big, beautiful bill passed. We have stablecoin legislation, market structure bill down the road, crypto week coming up next week. Everything's looking great. Nothing but tailwinds behind us. Ripple now filing for a trust charter. They filed for a master account with the Fed. We weren't even including those in our list of catalysts that push XRP higher. So we've added those. And the only headwind, and I noted this to my Discord group last week, as I said, guys, actually it was a couple weeks ago, I said, guys, the next event to mark on your calendar, mark on your chart, is the July 9th tariff deadline for the pause on the tariffs. And now we're hearing from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, that most of those will be extended out till August 1st. So they're not going to go, revert back to the tariffs that we had at the beginning of April that brought the market down to $1.60 for XRP, right? That big flush out. We're not going to go back to those levels. It sounds like Scott Bessent and President Trump, they're actually going to extend the deadline for countries that are willing to cooperate. Maybe they do hit some of these countries that haven't been, as active in negotiations with some tariffs. But this was the big headwind and cause for concern catalyst that could pull the markets back down. But now that it looks like that's going to be extended out, we're all clear, right? That was the one headwind that we faced. It's not going to be a big one. And even if we do get some tariffs re-implemented back on some countries, we might see a small dip. And if we do get that dip, you already know what I'm going to be doing. But folks, check this out. This is absolutely massive. Chad Steingraber grabbing this data for us. And we got to give a huge shout to Chad because he's been on top of this one. This is on Upbit, and this is what he posted this morning. 551 million in net inflows. And he had retweeted me. I posted, XRP had popped up to 233 this morning. And Chad took that. He said, look at these inflows. Well, that was just the start. This is the volume on this Upbit Korean exchange surpassing 1.94 billion within the hour. Now, this is a couple hours ago, okay? So what I did next is we go to coinglass.com to check that, and it had actually surpassed 700 million. By the way, guys, we're not done. This more than doubled up since I grabbed this picture right here. But what I did is I took these inflows, right? 720 million inflows. This is great. But if you actually add it up, all of the net inflows in that hour, I'm going to scroll on down so I can show you guys over here. During that hour, which was about 6 a.m. on the West Coast, 9 a.m. Eastern, during that 1 hour period, we only saw 18 million of net inflows across all of the exchanges. So although all this more money was pouring in to Upbit, there was actually some exchanges that still had net outflows happening, right? So you got to take all of that together. And what we did is we saw 18 million of net inflows into XRP during that hour. And then I go to the XRP market cap chart and we see 4.27 billion in market cap growth during this hour. Once again, 6 o'clock on the West Coast, that's 9 a.m. Eastern, this 1 hour candle, 4.27 billion of of market cap growth. So the way that we calculate the market cap multiplier is we head on over here to do the big numbers because, your calculator's not big enough to do this math. You take 4.27 billion, which is the market cap growth, and you divide it by the 18.11 million of net inflows. This gives us the 235x market cap multiplier and help me, come up with the title of today's video, which is just straight pure data. I don't do clickbait. If this is hype, there's a reason why it's hype, because we're backing fundamental, technical analysis, and now real data from the order book, the inflows, and you bet your butt that we get hype about this. Are you kidding me? Because this exemplifies once again that it is not a 1-to-1 ratio for the market cap bros that can't get it through their thick skulls, that we do not need trillions of inflows into XRP for XRP to reach trillions of market cap. And trillions in market cap for XRP equates to $10, $20, and $30 XRP. And it's not going to take trillions in inflows to get us there, which is why we do get a little bit hype, why we do get a little bit excited. But it ain't clickbait. It's backed by hard data from the order book inflows. Either you can get tapped in with us or you can miss this life-changing opportunity. It's up to you. It's just hard data. That's all I'm showing you. I'm just showing you simple math. 4.27 billion divided by $18.11 million of inflows equals 235x in a multiplier. It is not 1-to-1. It's not even freaking close. It's just hard data. I've been waiting for somebody to refute this. Nobody has been able to refute this, break this down, or show us where we're wrong. Now, it's not perfect. It doesn't showcase everything because it doesn't include futures. It doesn't include XRP Ledger DEX activity. So there is some things that aren't accounted for, but it gives you an idea. And it shows you very simply, based off of 18 million of inflows, we can grow the market cap by 4 billion. What happens when we get the 4 to 8 billion of inflows that JP Morgan's predicting? And if JP Morgan's predicting that for XRP, maybe, JP Morgan, they've been working against XRP and Ripple, it seems so, for years. That might be a conservative prediction. What happens when we get 10 to 20 billion of inflows into the XRP ETFs? We're talking about XRP's market cap growing by hundreds of billions of dollars. Yeah. And we're talking about a double-digit XRP with ease. Lock in, please, because we weren't done. Chad just gave us another update, grabbing the data once again. We're now at 1.58 billion in net inflows in this past hour. So we're going to tally up. I'm going to probably do a follow-up video here later today to track the overall inflows from today and to see what happened on XRP's market cap growth. But this is just tremendous amount of inflows coming in. I mean, we've been tracking this since November, and I have not seen over 1.58 billion of inflows, like even total. Like we on the day that Trump tweeted XRP was going to be in the strategic reserve, I think that the inflows was like 40 million, 50. It wasn't even 100 million of inflows. So I don't know what's happening in Korea. I tagged X-Force Global, who is a new friend that we've made in the XRP community. He's from South Korea, and he responded to me and he says XRP still leads in trading volume on Korean exchanges, even during the market's ugliest days. And remember, nearly 20% of XRP's entire market cap is concentrated in Korea alone. The wild part, it's all spot, very little leverage. This means that all Koreans who own crypto most likely own XRP. They love XRP, and they're not picking up big leverage positions where they're going to get over leveraged and be forced to sell off. These are massive spot positions that they're accumulating right now. This is tremendous data. Once again, no clickbait. If it's hype, well, it's just backed by data. So, sometimes the fundamentals, the technicals, and the data does get you a little excited, and for good reason. And it's being reflected on the XRP price chart right now. I feel bad for folks that just don't understand this and refuse to acknowledge the hard data that we are showing. Now, this is XRP just closed a weekly candle above the 20-week moving average for the first time in a long time. This could be the start of its next move higher, 100%. I've been talking about over the past week how we needed to flip 225. Why? Because that was the level that Cassie trades, which I'm about to show you her chart here next. She was saying that that's the next level of resistance. We need to flip it into support, and then we can move higher. I'm going to show you Cassie trades chart here next. Momentum is building. XRP's breakout is close. XRP is playing out beautifully here. Step by step, the structure is developing with classic bullish continuation signals. We've now seen multiple higher lows, followed by a reclaim of the 225 macro 382, which also marks the apex of the multi-month consolidation. That apex reclaim after a textbook fake out below is the kind of technical signal that tells us that sentiment has flipped and accumulation has completed. See guys, we closed one day off last week above 225. I think it was July 3rd. July 3rd, the day before the 4th, we closed off at 227. So we got one day above 225. But then July 4th, we were back down. Market was, volume was down over the weekend to be expected. And so, we kind of just hung out back below 225. But then I was tweeting out yesterday, Sunday, and I said, guys, watch, we pick back up. And if we get a weekly close above 225, that's a big deal. Because that's not just, a daily close above it, a couple days closed above it. But if we get a weekly close above that 225, that's the signal that we're looking for, that we're flipping 225 into support and that we're ready to fly higher. So whether you want to look at the charts or whether you want to look at David Schwartz riding a dragon floaty, the signal was there. Whether you want to accept it or not, the signal was there, baby. Let's go. We're now just sitting below 230, our local resistance, and she posted this morning. We're now above 230. I'll show you the chart here in 1 second. Once this level breaks, the next likely targets are $2.69 and $3.04. Both major macro fibs. I don't expect these upper levels to behave like the 225 apex. Check this out, guys. They should flip quickly if the momentum is real. So this is a make or break moment. If it's real right now, we're going to be flipping these levels quickly. That's what I'll be watching for next. Price to break above one of these resistance and form support. If XRP is truly in the early stages of wave 3 of 3, then this is the moment where local ratios get broken and macro targets start becoming real. Wave 3 of 3 is typically the strongest and fastest wave in the cycle. The majority of the crowd catches on too late. Please do not let that be you. Please lock in. This is the moment. That's her chart. Let's flip to my chart, zoomed out on the weekly. Once again, weekly close above 225, looking fantastic. As I record this update, XRP's up to 233. Absolutely fantastic. And this 6 months of consolidation, what it did is it gave an opportunity for new entrants to accumulate bags. It shook out weak hands. It exposed some of these little pump and dump cabals in the XRP meme space. And really, it was actually healthy. People don't understand this though. And I said yesterday, XRP history is in the making. And I get people responding back, what are you talking about? A few cents pump is not history in the making. Flipping 225 back into support is not history in the making. And no. The 6 months of consolidation at this level is history. Go back to the chart. 16 days closed above $3 in January. That was history. The flipping of back to above 225, setting us up for that next wave to a new all-time high, is history in the making. See, people are too zoomed in on the micro, the daily chart, to realize the bigger setup. When you actually zoom out, this is history in the making. We've already done it. 16 days closed above $3, 6 months of consolidation above $2. Never been done before in XRP's history. XRP going to a new all-time high. Obviously, that would be history in the making. The real ones see what's coming. The setup's absolutely beautiful. When you zoom out on your chart and you see what's happening. And like Cassie Trade says right here, if this truly is the wave 3 of 3, from an Elliott wave technical analysis standpoint, this is always the strongest, fastest, most aggressive move in the cycle. So for this XRP bull run that we're going through right now, this moment right now is potentially going to be the fastest and most aggressive move to the upside. Is it going to be the end of the bull run? No, but it's going to be the fastest and most aggressive. And what I worry about is that we go to new levels, and sure, we'll have a little bit of a pullback after XRP goes up to a new all-time high. I've talked about how we'll get a sell-off right before we hit $10. But the key part here is that after we make this wave 3 move, we come back down and settle, we won't be back at $2. We might be above $3. We might be at $4 or $5. And so for the new people that are trying to get in, you know, they'll only be able to acquire half the bag that they would have been able to here at this level of $2. Folks, this is it right now. No clickbait, no nonsense, pure data in the order books, pure inflows coming in. Either you get on the ship or you watch from the sidelines, you watch from the shore. Either you get on your own dragon floaty with David Schwartz, or you sit on the beach pouting and you miss this opportunity. Choose wisely, please. Everything's at ZachRector.com. You guys come on back here later today. We're going to provide a full update again on these order book inflows because it's happening now. This is what I've been talking about. You want to see XRP at double digits? You want to see XRP at $100? How much in inflows do we need? We've provided our conservative assumptions, simple math, and now we're going to watch it play out. Lock in with us. If you like it, please help us out. Share it out far and wide, and I'll see you guys later today. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.